2023 F1 Miami Grand Prix will be the second edition of the race after its debut last season. The race comes on the heel of a rather eventful sprint format weekend in Baku, where Sergio Perez dominated and won both races. It was a strange and hectic to have a doubleheader like this when we're talking about travelling from Baku to Miami. That too after a stressful sprint weekend. It will be the fifth race of the season. So what can we expect from the Miami Grand Prix weekend? Let's have a look. The Baku arguably had one of the worst races of the season. And while as the event has been featured very few overtakes, fingers have been pointed at reduced DRS zones, especially after what happened in Australia where wheel-to-wheel racing was better. Unlike Baku, no comments have been made about the DRS zones for the 2023 Miami Grand Prix. The track layout was decent and it results in decent racing. Nothing truly stood out from the first time we were there last season. Everyone will be keeping a keen eye on how the racing unfolds, as many would have been caught off guard by the lacklustre Baku race. One of the key takeaways after the race in Baku was the fact that upgrades cannot come sooner for the rest of the grid. Red Bull enjoys a gap around 0.7 of a second to the chasing pack, and that surely is a demoralising number. With Red Bull limited development time, it's expected to help the chasing pack catch up. It remains to be seen whether the teams can do. The major upgrade packages are more scheduled for Imola, but even at Miami, teams will be looking to make upgrades. Mercedes has plummeted quite a bit from being second fastest to fourth fastest in Baku. While that was surprising, Ferrari's jumped to being the second fast and even snatching pole position from Red Bull. Normal pilot service was resumed on Sunday as Red Bull eased its way past Charles Leclerc to a victory, but they still got a podium. In slightly warmer conditions, Ferrari may struggle with heating up the tyres and tyre wear. And yeah, how far clear will Red Bull be? That's kind of like a key issue. How will the pecking order look this weekend? Sergio Perez won the race in Baku, and the way he did it was a statement of intent. The Mexican beat his teammate in a head-to-head battle and proved he could do it more often. Heading to Miami, the gap to Max Verstappen is only 6 points, and yeah, it's a perfect situation for Perez to build momentum. But on the outer form side, Carlos Sainz finished the race in Baku around 25 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. Just to put things into context, race winner Sergio Perez had a gap of 20 seconds to Leclerc in P3. The race was a case study of how to dominate your teammate, and that could have affected Sainz's confidence. He needs to gain back in Miami. But yeah, one could get a sense after a race in Baku that Max Verstappen realised he has a challenger for this season. Unlike the first two seasons where he had to fight hard early in the season, 2023 was supposed to be like a cakewalk. Well, after effectively 5 races this season, he's won 2 and lost 3, including 1 sprint. Max Verstappen is a special talent. We can expect him to turn things around this weekend. And yeah, you'd think he'd probably be on top this weekend. One of the better drives in Baku was from Lewis Hamilton. It did appear he had a fire lit under him and was putting off some impressive moves during the safety car restart. For the Miami Grand Prix, we think that Hamilton has to take things up a notch, and having an edge over George Russell in qualifying could be key. But yeah, we think Miami, he performed quite well last year in qualifying. He could do really well this weekend. And as for a team, Alpine was very unlucky in Baku and couldn't even set the car up properly in the race. The car's fast, it's good enough to be P5 with its upgrade. But yeah, it needs to be a smooth one for Alpine. And yeah, without the hassle of the sprint weekend, hopefully it'll be that. And yeah, they can get back into top 5, maybe even challenge the top 3 teams like they did in Melbourne. But yeah, they need to show some pace. But as for going into the team, AlphaTauri had a good weekend in Baku, but it'd be foolish to target them to get really much points this season. Baku has kind of proved an outlier. It will be tough for AlphaTauri to continue building on this strong form, as I still think they've got one of the worst cars on the grid. And yeah, coming into the weekend, Nick De Vries obviously had a howler of a weekend in Baku, and yeah, he needs to bounce back, because it's fair to say his start to life in F1 hasn't been ideal. So yeah, hopefully he can bounce back this weekend. Coming into the weekend, there were plenty of topics in the paddock on Thursday. One of them being Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Can Perez sustain the title charge? Personally, I don't know. I'm still not convinced, but we'll have to see if he can continue his form outside of street circuits. Toto Wolff talking about how difficult it is to manage 2 drivers going for the title, stuff like that. Rumours of Lewis Hamilton's new contract being offered and confirmed and signed and everything in the next few weeks as well as Charles Leclerc and his future with Ferrari. Fallout from Russell and Verstappen. So yeah, just fallout from Baku really. But moving on then to the on-track action and FP1, it was Mercedes who actually topped the timing sheets. George Russell first, Lewis Hamilton second, and yeah, Charles Leclerc in third. It's a bit of a weird session because the times weren't set till late, especially Mercedes. They probably had the best track conditions, so they couldn't read too much into it, as is the case usually with FP1. There was also a crash for Nico Hulkenberg. Nick De Vries had a spin, didn't seem to go back out. Russell had an issue as well with his steering in the first half of the session. So yeah, a bit of a disruptive session for some. And in the second practice session, it was normal service resume with Max Verstappen topping the timesheets. And he was quite a distance ahead of Sergio Perez. And yeah, maybe he's looking to really stamp down a marker this weekend. But yeah, Verstappen fastest. Red Bull looked good on long run pace as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit hard to tell the picture behind there. Ferrari and Aston Martin's looking close. Mercedes weren't as good in this session. So yeah, it's kind of hard to get a picture, but we do know that Red Bull, unsurprisingly, look the class of the field once again. And before I go, let me run you through my predictions for this weekend. On pole, I'm going to say Sergio Perez to really put the cat amongst the pigeons and yeah, really hype up the title challenge. But I think in the race, Max Verstappen may have a bit too much for him. In second, I'm going to say Perez will follow him home. And Alonso in third. I think we saw last time out that Aston Martin do have the second fastest car in the race. And yeah, I expect Alonso to maybe qualify a bit better here and get that third place here. But yeah, anyway guys, that's the video. Thanks very much for watching. To like, share, subscribe, lots of comments on my information over daily F1 news and subscribe to the channel. I know you greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.